Number 49, what makes the equation true? Now, if you forgot how to solve for x, simply plug in a number and see if it works. My first step is to subtract 6, and that gives me 2 on this side. Then I multiply by 9 on both sides to get the x by itself. 2 times 9 is 18. Letter B. Yeah, number 50, notice there's no negatives in here, so I'm not going to have to switch the arrow, reverse the arrow. So therefore, letter A and letter B cannot be the answer, because the arrow is going the different direction. Okay, my first step is to subtract 5 on both sides, and that gives me 6z greater than 30. Then I divide by 6 to get the letter by itself. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So the answer is letter C. On number 51, if you do not know what the first steps are, then go ahead and just plug in the numbers and see which one works. Which one makes it so the left side equals the right side? Okay, so I need to subtract 2. Negative 7 and negative 2 is negative 9. Next, I divide by negative 3. That gets the variable all by itself. And 3 goes into 9 3 times, and the negatives cancel. So your answer is letter C. Number 52, Joan needs $60 for a class trip. Here's the equation. And we want to know how many hours does Joan have to work in order to earn $60. Now, if you don't know how to solve this equation, simply look at the answers and plug in the numbers and see if the left side equals the right side. And my first step is to subtract 32 on both sides. That will give me 28. 4 times something is 28. That's 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Letter A. Number 53, we have our equation. Here are the possible answers. And again, if you don't know how to solve it, plug in the answers and see if the left side equals the right side. And so the first step is subtract 2. That will give me 20. 4 times something is 20. That must be 5. 4 times 5. B is the correct answer. Okay, now go to the top of the page. The question asks, how far did the duck fly all total? 18 miles per hour for 3 hours, and then 15 miles per hour for 2 hours. And if you multiply those out, that's 54 plus 30. That would be 84. That's how far the duck flew, 84 miles. Letter D. Number 55, Juanita working 3 hours. She gets $36. How much to earn $720? How many hours does she need to work? Notice that 3 will go into 36. Okay, 3 goes in here once. 3 goes into 36 12 times. So this is a 12. And I know that 12 will go into 72. 12 goes into 12 once, so now we have a 1 down here. And 12 goes into 72. 12 times what is 72? 12 times 6. So this is actually 60. So 12 goes into 720 60 times. So what am I left with? 1 times 60 over 1. That's 60. Correct answer is letter C. She has to work 60 hours. So this question dealing with the spring being stretched, how far will a spring stretch? And here's our proportion. One of the things to notice is that the number on top is larger than the number on the bottom. So over here, x has to be larger than 12. Okay, so that means that A is out. By the way, if you took 24.5 divided by 7, you would get this answer. Now, if I set this up as a proportion, get x by itself, the bottom number is a one diagonal of x. The other two numbers go on top, 24.5 and 12. Now, I can't reduce any of this, so 7 doesn't go into any of these numbers. So I have to multiply this out first and then divide. And if I multiply this out, I get 334. And 7 doesn't go into 3, but 7 goes into 33 4 times, right? Because that's 28. So you have 33 minus 8, so that gives us 5, 54. Actually, I made a mistake. This is what I do when I make a mistake. Just go like this. A little white out there. Actually, this is 294. But it still goes in 4 times. That's 28. Leaves you with 1 left over. Bring down the 4. 7 goes into 14, 2. 42. And if you look at your answers, it's letter C. Now let me show you a shortcut that you could have done. 7 times 3 is about 24, right? 7 times 3 is 21, so 7 times 3. So it's times 3 to get from the bottom to the top. So from the bottom to the top, 12 times 3 is 36. So it's a little more than 36. And if you look at it, there's nothing even close to 36 except 42. So that's a good way of estimating the answer. Okay, on number 57, Marissa, she drives 200 miles one day, 220 miles the next day. That's a total of 420 miles. And she gets 28 miles to the gallon. And so how many gallons to drive 420 miles? So making a proportion, diagonal number goes on the bottom, that's 28. The other two numbers go on top, so that's 420 times 1, which is just 420. So now I need to divide 28 into 420. Now I can just keep on reducing this. If you can't see how to divide it right away, go ahead and take half, because 2 goes into both of these. 2 will go into here. Half of 420 is 210. Half of 28 is 14. Now I know 2 will go into both of these, so I'll take half again. Half of 210 is 105. And half of 14 is 7. Okay, now it's a little bit easier to divide. 7 into 105. 7 goes into 10 once with 3 left over. It gives us 35. 7 goes into 35 5 times. So our answer is 15. Okay, go ahead and turn the page, please. To the other side. Okay, number 58. Now, it tells me that 40 ounces are used for 2,400 square foot. So how much is it for 1 ounce? Well, if I reduce this, okay, 10 goes in there, 10 goes in there, and 4 goes into 24. 4 goes in here once, 4 goes into 24, 6. So it goes into 240, 60 times. So basically 1 ounce is for 60 square feet. So 1 ounce is for 60 square feet. So 1 ounce covers 60 square feet. We need to cover 7,200 square feet. So how many ounces of seed do we need? So a proportion would look like this. 1 ounce, 60 square feet. How many ounces for 7,200 square feet? So the diagonal line goes to the bottom, the one diagonal of x, and the other two go on top. That's 1 times 7,200. So just 7,200. So now we just need to divide 7,200 by 60. Okay, well, 10 goes into both of these, so I can get rid of a 0. And 6 goes into 72. So it does go into 720. 6 goes in here once. 6 goes into 72 12 times. So 6 goes into there 120 times. So what do I have left? 120. That means my answer is letter C. Number 59. Word problem. If you're having difficulty with word problems, always draw a picture. It helps out. You can kind of think of it as this, and that from his house, Mr. Ogata, from his house to L.A., that's 276 miles, and he drove 62 miles per hour. Okay, that's how fast he went, 62 miles per hour. Okay, on the way home, going back home, it tells how long it took him 6.5 hours. Question is, which one, compared to, how did his speed on the way home compare to his speed on the way to Los Angeles? Was it faster or was it slower? And by how much? That's the question. So from his house to LA, he went 62 miles per hour. Now on the way home, we have to figure out how many miles per hour he drove. And then we compare the two speeds. Well, let's see, on the way home, that's 276 miles, and it took him 6.5 hours. So we have to divide. Okay, 65 goes into 276 how many times? Well, look, 6, think of 6 into 270. How many times is 6 going to, 27. 6 goes into 27 approximately 4 times, right? 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so 4 times 5, that's 20. I'm sorry, I put it in the wrong space, didn't I? It should be right there above the 6. Bad. Okay, so let's see. 4 times 5 is 20. Keep everything lined up. 4 times 6 is 24. 25, 26. Hey, that works out good. And so that leaves me with 16. Add a 0. 65 and a 1. So how many times does 6 go into 16? Probably twice. Right? 2 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 2 times 6 is 12, 13, 14. 140. Okay, that's all the farther you need to go. So going from LA to his house, he went 42 miles per hour. From his house to LA, he went 62 miles per hour. The question is, what's the difference between the two? Compare them. Okay, well, first of all, the difference is about 20 miles per hour, right? So you know it's not A and you know it's not B, because they're saying 2 miles per hour faster, 2 miles per hour slower. So forget those two. Question is, how did his speed on the way home compared to on the way to LA? So on the way home to LA. Well, on the way home, he did 42. Going to LA, he did 62. So going to home was what? Slower or faster? So going home was definitely slower. By 20 miles, about 20 miles per hour. Number 60, concerning millimeters. How many millimeters are in 20 centimeters? You can think of it this way. Centimeters are times 10 to the negative 2. Millimeters are times 10 to the negative 3. They're 10 times smaller. 10 times smaller. So that means they would be more of them. There's more millimeters than centimeters because they're smaller. The answer is 200. On number 61, every 3 inches, every half an inch is 3 feet. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 feet. Number 62, you got to figure out which printer is the fastest. The first one, 2 pages per second. The second one, about 0.5 pages per second. That's half a page. So it's slower than that one. So we know it's not Voltron, whatever that is. So it's not the letter B. That's out. The other one, 160 pages in 2 minutes. 2 minutes is 120 seconds, right? 60 seconds a minute, so 120. Just reduce that. By the way, 40 will go into both of those, 4/3. And 3 goes into 4. 3 goes into 4 once. Once and 1/3, so it's about 1.3 pages per second. Okay, so that's slower than 2 pages per second. Right? Which one's faster? 2 pages a second or 1.3 pages a second? Well, that's faster. So it can't be letter C. That's out. The last one there is 100 pages per 60 seconds, which is, 1 minute. 20 will go into both of these. 5/3. And 3 goes into 5 once. It's like 1.6. Okay? So 1.6 per second. Well, 1.6, that's still less than 2 pages per second. It's not even 2 pages per second. So the correct answer then is letter A. That's the fastest. Number 63, when you set this up as a proportion, notice that the top number is larger than the bottom. So the top number over here has to be larger than 30. It has to be more than 30. So that rules out letter B and letter A. So hopefully you can see that this is your X, bottom number. This number diagonal goes on the bottom. The other two numbers go on top. So you have 15 times 30.